Lord Vishnu is a Hindu god who appeared on earth in 9 avatars. Krishna is one of them. Till today, Krishna's childhood escapes are fondly remembered. Here are short stories of Lord Krishna. There lived a king named Ugrasena. He had two children, a son named Kansa and a daughter named Devki. Devki was a good natured person, but Kansa had an evil mind. When he grew up, he thrown his father and put him in jail. Meanwhile, his sister Devaki married King Vasudeva. As Kansa was escorting his sister to her in law's place, a voice rang out from the skies, "The eighth son of your sister will grow up to kill you." Kansa wanted to put his sister to death to save his life, but Vasudeva begged Kansa to spare his wife. He promised that he would hand over every child of theirs. Kansa was pacified and put the couple behind bars. Kansa imprisoned Devaki and Vasudeva and ordered his soldiers to guard the cell. Every time Devaki gave birth to a child, Kansa would visit the couple and take away their baby. Dashing it to the well, he would kill it. When Devaki was pregnant for the seventh time, the fetus was miraculously transferred to Rohini's womb in Vrindavana. Kansa was told that it had been a stillbirth. Devaki and Vasudeva's eighth child Krishna was born at the stroke of midnight. This special day is now celebrated as Janamashtami. As soon as Krishna was born, the guards manning Devaki and Vasudeva's cell went into a deep slumber and the locks fell open. Placing baby Krishna in a wicker basket, Vasudeva left for Gokul. When he reached the Yamuna river, he saw that it was flooded due to the pouring rain. But he had to save Krishna's life. So, without fearing for his own life, Vasudeva started walking across the river. With his every step, the waters receded, and Lord Vishnu's serpent Adishesha protected baby Krishna from the rain. When Krishna reached Nanda's house, he saw that his wife Yashoda had given birth to a baby girl. Slowly, he picked the baby up and placed Krishna in her place. Then he returned to the prison with the baby. Devaki and Vasudeva had hoped that Kansa would spare the baby girl because the prophecy had mentioned Devaki's eighth son. But Kansa didn't care. He snatched the baby from their hands and flung her against a wall. Miraculously, the baby transformed into goddess Durga and informed Kansa that Devaki's eighth son was alive and would soon come for him. Kansa was desperate to kill Krishna, so he called for the fearful demoness Putana. He told her to assume the form of a beautiful young woman and kill all the babies that had been born in the previous 10 days. As this gave her an opportunity to instill fear in people's heart, Putana readily assented. Putana entered Krishna's village when she heard everybody talking about Yashoda's newborn. The demoness immediately knew that this was the child she had to eliminate. Distracting Yashoda, she made Krishna suckle on her poison-smeared nipples. The poison did nothing to him, but Putana died. Krishna loved eating butter. As he grew older, Krishna started stealing butter from his own house and neighbors. Yashoda hung up the butter so that Krishna wouldn't be able to reach it. Slowly, other gopis also followed suit. Krishna and his friends were not the ones to give up easily. They worked out a solution to this. The next time they raided a house for butter, Krishna made his friends form a human pyramid. He reached the top and broke the pot of butter. The friends relished it, much to the anger and disappointment of the gopis. Yashoda was so fed up of Krishna's antics that one day she tied him to a mortar. To free himself, Krishna crawled to the two trees in his courtyard. Then he proceeded to crawl through the passage between the trees. The mortar got stuck in the gap. Taking advantage of this, Krishna pulled the rope with all his strength. The trees came crashing down, and two demigods, Nalakurmna and Manigriva, emerged. Krishna had freed them from their curse. Once, when Krishna and Balrama were playing, the avatar of Lord Vishnu stuffed a handful of mud into his mouth. When Krishna's friend complained to his mother, Yashoda ran to him and asked him to open his mouth. Initially, he refused to, but when Yashoda gave him a stern look, Krishna obliged. What Yashoda saw was not mud but the entire universe. That's when she realized that Krishna was the Lord in disguise. Every day, Krishna would take his cows to graze by the river. Suddenly, cows started dying after drinking from the river. With his divine power, Krishna realized that the 10-headed serpent Kaliya was poisoning the water with his venom. He confronted Kaliya and asked him to stop, but the stubborn serpent refused. Krishna dived into the river and emerged dancing on Kaliya's head. By then, all the villagers had gathered and were anxious for Krishna. Slowly, the Lord became heavier and heavier until the serpent couldn't bear his weight any longer. Kaliya's wife begged Krishna to stop, and they left the river never to return. One day, a massive bull came to Vrindavana and started attacking the villagers. Nobody knew where it had come from. Everybody started running helter skelter to save their lives. They went to Krishna's for help. When Krishna faced the bull, he realized that it was possessed by a demon called Arishutra. Krishna managed to tackle the bull and pierce its horns. Finally, the demon left the bull's body and bowed to the Lord. He said that he was a disciple of Lord Brihaspati and had been cursed to become a bull as he had disrespected his teacher. After Krishna had defeated the demon Aristhura, the celestial sage Narada informed Kansa and that Krishna was very much alive and would kill him. Fuming with rage, Kansa summoned the demon Keshi and commanded him to kill the lad. Keshi assumed the form of a fearful horse and started terrorizing the inhabitants of Vrindavana. Krishna understood that the demon was challenging him to a fight, so he confronted the horse. On seeing the young lad, the horse charged at him. Krishna, however, caught one of the horse's leg and threw it 100 yards away. When Keshi's regained consciousness, he charged at Krishna with his mouth open. The Lord pushed his left arm into the horse's mouth, making its teeth fall out. Then, inflating his arm, he killed it. That was the end of Keshi. Once Lord Brahma decided to test Krishna's power, so he hid all the children and calves of Vrindavan in Brahmloka. Krishna was unhappy with Brahma's doing and decided to teach him a lesson. So he assumed the form of all his friends and calves and went to their homes. Nobody could even tell the difference. When Brahma decided to check the situation in Vrindavana, he was shocked to see all the children and calves. Lord Brahma immediately realized his mistake and asked Krishna for forgiveness. It was a ritual among the inhabitants of Vrindavana to worship Indra, the god of rain. Once, when preparations were in full swing, Krishna suggested that the villagers should rather worship the Govardhana hill. They ascended and started worshipping the hill. This made Indra very angry and he let his rain cloud loose over the village. It poured cats and dogs for days on end, and everybody sought Krishna's help. Unable to see his devotees in plight, the Lord lifted the Govardhana and his little finger. He asked the villagers to take shelter under the hill and stood in that position for 7 nights. Indra realized his mistake and apologized to Krishna. Once Krishna and his friends set out on a picnic to the nearby forest. While they were enjoying, Agrashura, who was the brother of Putna, appeared at that spot. He had been sent by Kansa to kill Krishna. The demon assumed the form of a python and made himself as long as a cave and as big as mountain. Then he lay in wait. The cowherd boys, enticed by the beauty of the cave, entered it. Krishna knew that it was Agrasura and tried to warn his friends. But they were in no mood to listen. The demon had plans of closing his mouth once Krishna had entered his mouth. To save his friends, Krishna entered the cave and expanded himself. This suffocated the demon and led to his death. Kansa had been trying to kill Krishna but in vain, so he hatched another plan. With his servant Akura, he sent a message inviting Krishna and Balrama to the wrestling match at Mathura. Both of them agreed to attend the event. Once there, Kansa pitted the brothers against two of his strongest wrestlers. Krishna and Balrama accepted the challenge and easily defeated their opponents. Krishna lost his temper and ordered his soldiers to kill the boys. Hearing this, Krishna jumped into the stands, knocked Kansa's crown off his head, and dragged him by the hair to the wrestling ring. Desperate to prove his might, the Asura challenged Krishna to a wrestling bout. With one blow of Krishna's hand, Kansa fell dead. The Lord set his birth parents Devaki and Vasudeva free and placed Ugrasena back on the throne. When Lord Krishna was a little infant, Yashoda Ma had taken him to a village fair. After everyone was done with their lunch, Yashoda left Krishna to sleep underneath a bullock cart. After some time, Krishna woke up to the sound of music. He saw that all the villagers were dancing, and so he too started dancing to the beats. Krishna then accidentally bumped against the bullock cart wheel, which led to the cart crashing to the ground. People rushed towards the cart, expecting the little boy to be in a bad condition. Surprisingly, they found him still happily dancing to the tunes. Though this incident was one of the first that proved Krishna's heavenly powers, it was believed that it was a miracle that the little boy was left untouched by the crash. Nanda, Krishna's father, was fasting on one Ekadashi. Before sunrise, Nanda went to take a dip in the holy river Yamuna. The servants of the demigod Varuna capture and present him in front of their lord, accusing Nanda of taking a bath in the river to a demonic time. Krishna and Balrama searched for their father after his sudden disappearance. Then they heard sound coming from the river and understood that the demigod Varuna had captured their father. When Krishna visited Varuna, they engaged in a heart-warming conversation. Varuna realized the mistake committed by his servants, apologized to Krishna, and released Nanda immediately. One day, Krishna and his friends went to a forest to play. They were so engaged in playing that they didn't realize that the forest had caught fire. When they were surrounded by the fire from all sides, they asked Krishna for help. Krishna asked them to close their eyes, and he swallowed the entire forest fire within a few minutes, leaving everyone astonished. Village elders and Nanda decided to leave Gokul because Krishna had been attacked twice, once by Rakakashi Putana and then by the Asura Trivarta. They decided to go to Vrindavan as they felt unsafe. All Gokul villagers were getting cautious with repeated attacks and bad omens they had been experiencing for the last few years. Hence, they all, especially Upanandji, suggested that the entire village leave bridge and move to Vrindavan.